then after we run kit questions.
My question is, what spares would you recommend teams buy for their own inventory?
Repeat the question.
So I'm going to repeat the question because we are also taping the FRC Live thing. So the question was, what critical spares do we recommend teams have on hand in your shop or at an event? I think that really depends on the resources you have. We do stock spares for super expensive stuff like a compact Rio or motor controllers. We stock spares at the events in spare parts. So for teams that do get in jams, that is an option for you. My recommendation is to start with the stuff that's unique and really important to your design that we may not have. If it's not in the kit of parts, we're not going to have it in spare parts. So if you have something unique that you've put on your robot, you can't count on us to have spares at the event. So I would recommend that, especially if it's critical to the design. Hardware is not in spare parts, so having a hardware kit is a great idea. But like I said, if you have more resources, then it is, I think, valuable, and I'm going to let you kind of chime in as well on this, to have some of the more expensive components on hand so you don't have to go to spare parts, you don't have to rely on that. But it is there as an option if you get in a bind. So Collin, do you have thoughts on that?
Right. I mean, ideally you would have 100 extra Jaguars sitting in your pit so that you had them and you could help all the other teams that needed them. But obviously that's not practical. And so I think the points that Kate made are 100% valid. That if it's custom, absolutely have it. And that, if I was kind of to rank them, then I would start to go with electronics that are kind of in harm's way. And the ones that see a lot of abuse, in the drivetrain. That type of thing, and then kind of start to parse down from there. You can probably find a team that has a 1/4 by 1 inch bolt, but if you need the exact length or something like that's pretty specific or metric, right? Then there are other things that you have to deal with. So did that answer kind of?
You can take the next one.
Any other questions?
Nothing.
We just did such a great job that we don't have any questions.
Bill wants to do a general.
Okay, we can also just do general question and answer for Bill as well, if anybody has questions for all of FRC. All right. Oh.
Plans to reconfigure the bumper requirements to make them clearer or easier for teams to follow?
Yes, we do.
So the question was, do we have any plans to reconfigure the bumper requirements to make them clearer or easier for teams to follow? Bill actually blogged about this probably a month ago or so, but we do the end of event surveys, and one of the things that we hear as FTAs and Bill hears on the road is, from the inspectors, is the bumpers were by far the biggest headache for teams getting through inspection, and that's, that shouldn't be the case, I think, in all of our opinions. And so what Bill has actually tasked me to do, and that I will be kicking off kind of the middle of May, is to form a team that includes some members of game design, but then also robot inspectors and mentors, and kind of completely re-look at the bumper requirements, start from the ground up, and really try and use the people in our community, the inspectors who are dealing with the teams all the time, and then some mentors who have been around and can provide some feedback there, and really try and make them clearer. I don't think that bumpers will be going anywhere. They're here to stay, but I think that to answer your question, yes, we recognize that it's an issue, and we're working on fixing it for next year. Anybody else?
Hi, this is a question for Bill regarding game design. So, curious about what inspired you to add the bridges as part of the game challenge. They're so different than the baskets.
Well, let's see. We're going to have a whole session on game design, I think later on today. Whoops. But the bridges, believe it or not, were added in when we design a game, we look at the beginning of the game, the middle of the game, and the end of the game. And we were trying to do some linkage with FTC. Remember mini-bots from last year? Well, this year we decided to do something interesting and try to integrate in bridges, which we think ended up making the end of the game somewhat interesting and challenging. And believe me, we have not put silicon on the bridges. It just seems that way sometimes. But we were, as I mentioned, we were looking at some way of linking FTC, and it was also a way of really adding a high degree of excitement at the end of the game. So it was a metamorphosis over a period of time, and we had a tremendous amount of dialogue over the size of the bridge, the width, the height, even the barrier. So we had a lot of debates. We talked long and hard, a lot of differences of an opinion, and you see what we got. And based on most of the feedback we've received from the teams, I think it's been relatively positive. Is everybody pretty happy with this year's game? Outstanding. You wait till next year. Does that, hopefully that answers your question? Okay. Other questions? This is your chance.
Well, and then this afternoon and tomorrow.
Yeah, and then this afternoon and tomorrow, of course. I will. Yeah. Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, like I said, this is one of your last chances. We are having a follow-up session this afternoon at 2 o'clock, and it's the history of Rebound Rumble and what's next for the GDC. And then tomorrow, we have the making of an FRC event. So if you have any thoughts, questions, or any interest, please tell other teams, and we'll be back here to answer your questions, and it doesn't necessarily have to be about that topic. Any other questions before we take off? We do. Okay.
How long into the game design process did you decide to add the Connect?
Let's see. The question was, how long into the game design process did we decide to add the Connect? We pretty much had the game somewhat wrapped up. And what happened was we ended up having this opportunity based on a call from Mr. Dean Kamen, who said that we have this wonderful situation with Microsoft wanting to donate Connects to all of the teams, and wouldn't it be really great if we could integrate this into the 2013 or the 2012 game? And of course, we said, absolutely, we can make this happen. And part of the challenge was, how do we integrate it in without making it so overwhelming a part of the game so that it doesn't end up taking away from anything else and requiring teams, at the same time trying to introduce this new technology and new concept into the 2012 game. So it was actually August, and my recollection was that the game was pretty well locked up. So does that answer your question sufficiently, or? Okay. Other questions? Anybody? Okay, as I said, we're having another session this afternoon at 2, and then 11 o'clock tomorrow. So I want to thank you all. Hope you're having a great time here at the FRC Championships, and we'll see you later.